As of the 22nd of November until the 3rd of January 2022, RuneScape 3 has released a new discontinued item, and this item is the Golden Party Hat. And you can only receive one of these per account. RS3 has a completely different approach to discontinued rare items to old school RuneScape. While OSRS has been quite dismissive of the idea of discontinued rare items in the game, RS3 has embraced old traditions and has continuously released discontinued items every couple of years. And today I will be showing you how to get your very own Golden Party Hats. But before we get into that, a quick word from today's sponsor. Raid Shadow Legends is a free-to-play RPG available on mobile and PC. The thing that I enjoy the most about Raid Shadow Legends is the insane amount of updates they keep on adding to the game. And speaking of new content, Raid has just released the new boss, the Hydra, a giant beast with multiple different heads, each head having its own special abilities. The Head of Suffering is the Hydra's main tank head. The Head of Decay will tear you down and make its allies stronger. The Head of the Wrath is the Berserker phase, super angry, damage dealing. The Head of Torment is terrifying. The Head of Blight will infect you with poison and kill you from the inside. And the Head of Mischief will steal your buffs and use them against you. And make sure you kill them fast, because they have a tendency to regrow and heal themselves if you don't do it fast enough. Something that keeps me coming back to the game is how much I appreciate the work that goes into the artwork and graphics. There are not many mobile games out there that match the level of detail and accuracy that pretty much every single champion has to offer in this game. And speaking of good graphics, Raid are giving away a super limited edition champion based upon the esports champion Simple. All you have to do is log into Raid between now and the 28th of January 7 times and the champion will be yours. On top of that, Christmas is just around the corner. Raid has a full schedule of festive activities, special events, tournaments, all so that you can add some incredible festive champions to your collection. And if you click my link down below, new players will receive the champion Tayrel, 200,000 silver, 1 XP boost, 1 energy refill, and 1 ancient shard. And you can receive all of this here when you log into the game. To receive your very own Golden Party Hat, you have to complete 8 out of 11 tasks. Each task you complete will reward you with a Golden Party Hat shard, and you can bind all 8 to make yourself the Golden Party Hat. Of the 11 tasks available, 5 of them are guaranteed shards. And what I mean by that is when you complete the task, you will be guaranteed a shard, unlike the remaining 6, which are all RNG based. Now, before we go any further, I would like you to pay attention to this red Christmas wrapping paper in my inventory. Don't forget it, because I'll be telling you all about it later on in this video. The first task I'm going to talk about is the Premier Club. Quite simply, if you have paid for the Premier Club this year, whether that be through RuneScape Free or Old School RuneScape, then you will be entitled to a very free shard that you will receive upon logging into the game. And I'm sure many of you guys will already know, Premier Club is either unlocked by a one-time payment of £49.99 through the RuneScape website, or by using 20 bonds at once in-game to unlock yourself the Premier Club and 12 months of membership. It's definitely worth me mentioning that this is only an option to receive one of the shards, and is not a mandatory requirement to get yourself the Golden Party Hat. But if you already have the Premier Club, or you're planning to get it, then it may end up saving you some time. The next shard can be claimed by speaking to the wise old man who is currently sat outside of the Grand Exchange. And it's really that simple. Speak to the wise old man and he will give you a participation shard. From there, you're not going to move very far and simply head to the southeast of the inner Grand Exchange. There you will find a very mysterious looking character named Nick, who once spoken to will sell you a third shard for 30 million RuneScape gold. Now I understand this is a bit of a hurdle for old school RuneScape players because the majority of us don't have any RuneScape free gold. However, I will tell you there are many ways to convert old school RuneScape to RuneScape free GP, and although the current rates vary, at the moment on average 1 million old school RuneScape is the equivalent of roughly 8 million RuneScape free. Meaning if you do manage to figure out how to transfer wealth between the two games, you're looking at around about 4 million old school RuneScape for this shard. The next guaranteed shard that you will receive is after completing 15 steps on the Yak track, which is effectively the RuneScape free battle pass. You do not have to pay for this, and the shard is guaranteed on the 15th step. Although if you do have the Premier Club, not only will you receive extra rewards every step that you complete, but you will also get a bunch of skips, in my case 8, where you can completely bypass certain missions that you don't want to do. Once you've opened up the Yak track from your escape interface, you will face 2 different tasks per step. You only need to complete one of the tasks in order to progress on the Yak track, and these tasks can vary from speaking to certain NPCs in game, gaining specific amounts of XP and certain skills, and obtaining specific amounts of resource. After completing each task, you simply claim your reward, and then you move on to the next step. As mentioned before, if you do have the Premier Pass, you're given a certain amount of skips. And fortunately for me, I do have it, so whenever I came across a task that I just didn't feel like doing or I knew was going to take a long time, I skipped over it and did something else. It is worth mentioning that regardless of the skips, we only need to get to level 15 on the Yak track, and most of the tasks are relatively simple. As you can see here, I had to cook 500 fish. I then received the task of gaining 80,000 smithing XP, which I just so luckily had a bunch of protein bars from years and years of logging in occasionally to RuneScape free, which made an already quick task significantly faster. It's also worth mentioning that while I was cooking, fishing, and also smithing, there was a chance that I could have received an additional Partyhat shards from one of the free other tasks, which I will talk about more later. It took me around about 2 hours to complete level 15 on the Yak track, which, as previously mentioned, is a guaranteed Partyhat shard, which puts us exactly at the halfway mark, as I now possess 4 of the 8 shards, which means there is only 1 guaranteed shard left to claim. In order to receive your 5th and guaranteed shard, you have to complete the full quest of Once Upon a Time in Gielinor, which consists of 4 parts. Now don't let that scare you off, because I can assure you it's not that difficult and only took me around about 30 minutes to complete, courtesy of the YouTube guide posted by Fraxu, which you can find down in my description if you want to complete this step. As I mentioned previously, 6 of the shards are based on RNG, so if you've made it this far and you have 5 shards, the remaining 3 that you need to receive are all based on luck. But it's not as bad as it sounds. The remaining tasks that we have left are combat, gathering, artisan, support, clue scrolls, and bossing. Combat is as simple as it sounds. You will randomly receive yourself a golden shard while training any kind of combat, whether this be ranged, mage, melee, HP, summoning, and even prayer. For the gathering skill, you can receive a shard through fishing, mining, woodcutting, farming, hunter, divination, and archaeology. For artisan, you can receive a shard through doing herblore crafting, fletching, smithing, cooking, firemaking, construction, and rune crafting. Support consists of agility, thieving, completing slayer tasks, and dungeoneering floors. Clue scrolls are very straightforward. All you need to do is complete clue scrolls for a chance of a shard. And finally, bossing, where any boss that gives marks of war, including all of the God War dungeon bosses, also have a chance of receiving a shard. I decided I would try to kill 2 birds with 1 stone by training my combat while also killing Bandos, meaning I had the chance of receiving 2 shards, one from killing the boss itself, and the other from the damage that I was dealing. Unfortunately for me, I didn't receive any Partyhat shards for killing the boss nor for combat inside of Bandos. I did, however, manage to get myself a couple of Bandos drops, being 3 pairs of Bandos gloves, 1 Bandos war shield that I didn't even know was a thing, and also 1 pair of Bandos tassets. So at least my time here wasn't a complete waste. I actually ended up completing my combat task while getting KC outside of Bandos, which you can probably tell that I wasn't expecting to get, as I only managed to capture this snippet of text as I received it. After receiving the 6th shard, I decided it was time to go and do something else, and that something ended up being skilling, as I still had 3 skilling tasks available to do. So I headed over to the fishing guild, where you can find the entrance for deep sea fishing. Fishing falls under one of the gathering skills, and is incredibly AFK in RuneScape free, so it didn't take too long before I was rewarded with my 7th golden shard. After that, I found myself being led inside of a tunnel just on the outskirts of Varrock, where you would typically find a dig site, and to my surprise, we stumbled upon 6 penny farthings. Unknowing to me is an incredibly AFK way of training agility and receiving upwards of 40,000 agility XP per hour. What felt like days had passed as I sat there peddling my glorified hamster wheel, feet bruised and blistered. I waited patiently, knowing that this was the final task that needed completing before I could obtain my golden party hat. Hey! Oh, okay, there we go. So now that I have all 8 of the shards, I'm just gonna talk to the wise old man, and I believe he should give me the golden party hat. And there it is. 322 mil right now. That is the golden party hat. It took me a total of 34 hours from start to completion, but that's including me eating, sleeping, and just going about my daily business. And not to mention, I would say around about 90% of the progress towards this party hat was completely AFK. It's not a tremendously difficult thing to do, but it's actually quite enjoyable, and the reward at the end is a hell of a treat. Which actually leads me on to the purpose of making this video. I have just showcased step by step how I received the new discontinued golden party hat. As somebody who primarily plays old school RuneScape and just dabbles on RuneScape 3 on the side, I found this event a ton of fun. I'm a very big fan of discontinued items in RuneScape 3, and I think the way that they went about this event was spot on. The fact that you could only receive 1 golden party hat per account, whether you're an old or new player to the game, this event was available for you. The ways in which you had to go about obtaining the golden party hat, which required you to do a ton of subsections and different tasks in order to even receive the golden shards. I think that all of these factors combined have created a discontinued rare which feels inclusive to all of the player base, allowing any player to receive the golden party hat if they put the time in, which I think is a really nice model for how to introduce rare discontinued items into the game. And my question to you is, do you think that this structure of inserting discontinued rare items into RuneScape would also fit and work with old school RuneScape? Let me know your thoughts and opinions down in the comments. Earlier during this video, I told you guys to pay attention to this red Christmas wrapping paper. 2 days prior to the making of this video, on the 13th of December, Jagex have released another discontinued rare item, but this time it's not a party hat, and unlike the golden party hat, this item is completely based upon RNG. And you might be wondering what the red Christmas wrapping paper has to do with the new discontinued rare item, and that's because you exchange your Christmas wrapping paper with Posty Pete to receive yourself the presents, which is the only way to receive the green Santa hat. This is something that I would absolutely love to make an entire video on, so if you guys would like me to try to get my hands on the green Santa hat, which is not guaranteed and significantly harder to get than the golden party hat, then leave this video a like, let me know down in the comments, and I will spend the rest of the month collecting Christmas wrapping paper, opening presents, and trying to hunt down the green party hat.